Over 30 plots of land to be put up for sale in the next financial year. Former Mingbao chief editor Kevin Lau remains in critical condition. And government buildings in Ukraine, Crimea, seized by pro-Russian men.
Good evening. Former Mingbao chief editor Kevin Lau remains in critical condition following yesterday's chopping attack. Police have now stepped up their probe into the assault. And the Hong Kong Journalists Association plans to stage a march on Sunday against the use of violence and in defence of press freedom. Stephanie Choi reports.
Kevin Lau remains under intensive care at Eastern Hospital and has not given his full account of what happened to the police. He suffered severe chop wounds to his back and legs. Legislator James To said after a brief visit that Lau's condition has improved.
Without the family's consent, I don't want to disclose much detail, okay? Well, I said To, his nickname, okay? And he gave me this sign, okay? Well, it's okay. And he looked at me, okay? And that's all, okay? I think at least he has confidence to recover.
Kevin Lau's wife, Vivian Lau, said in a statement today that her husband is conscious and can communicate. He doesn't need any further surgery for now. The family strongly condemned the attack and called on any witnesses to come forward. This morning, police were at Tai Hong Street in Sai Wan Ho, where Lau came under attack at about the same time yesterday. They talked to people in shops and restaurants as well as passers-by who might offer clues to the assault. And the blue ribbon that now symbolizes press freedom in Hong Kong appeared again today at this protest outside the offices of Mingbao.
We dress in black to fight for press freedom, speech freedom, and the fear from and the freedom from fear.
The newspaper is offering a $1 million reward for information that might help the police solve the case.
This morning we received some readers. They would like to donate some money to top up the reward because they want the eyewitnesses to come out, provide information for the police.
Mingbao will look through their stories over the past year and see which ones might be sensitive or led to a strong public reaction against their editor. They will then give those to the police to help with their investigation. And anyone with information about the case can call the police on their hotline 9255-4063. Meanwhile, officers found a motorbike on Sai Wan Ho Street suspected to be used by the culprits. It's believed that its license plate was reported stolen earlier. And police have issued 2 photographs based on CCTV footage. The first showed 2 men on a motorbike. The second is of a man on Sai Wan Ho Street. Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying stressed the police would do their best to try to get to the bottom of the case. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
And turning overseas now, Thailand's anti-corruption agency today weighed charges against caretaker Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra over a controversial rice subsidy scheme. Jameson Wong has more.
Opponents of the caretaker leader have been flexing their muscles in recent months, demanding her ouster. Today it was her supporters' turn. They gathered in front of Thailand's National Anti-Corruption Commission, pledging support for Yingluck Shinawatra after the agency heard negligence charges against her over the rice subsidy scheme. Some of the demonstrators threatened to seal off the compound with cement in a show of resistance. Yingluck did not attend the hearing, which was moved to a different location because of the protest. She sent her legal team instead. The scheme paid farmers above the market price and has run out of funds, adding to the government's woes as farmers demand their money.
If all that was to happen at this moment was for her to be removed in this way by a judicial decision which many people of her supporters would see to be a political decision, it won't end the crisis at all, because her supporters, who are very large in number, I'm sure will want to do something about it.
Adding to the tension, a grenade explosion last night at the parking lot of the Thai public TV broadcaster TPBS. No one was injured in the attack. In another development, protest leader Suthep Thaugsuban says he's now willing to appear in a live television debate with Yingluck over the country's future. For weeks, Suthep had refused to take part in dialogue. Yingluck gave a guarded response today, saying, "If I talk to Suthep, will they stop protesting, and will we be able to hold elections?" A snap election earlier this month was disrupted by anti-government protesters and is unlikely to be completed for weeks. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
The government will put up 34 pieces of land for auction in the new financial year, with some 2/3 of those pieces of land in the new territories. As Joel De Silva reports, the plots will be enough to provide 15,500 residential units.
Of the 34 pieces of land on the government land list, 24 are newly added. 11 of those are prime residential plots in urban areas. Some of the bigger ones are at Beacon Hill in Kowloon, Ting Ping Road in Tai Wo Ping, and Wong Mak Kok Road in Stanley. All three will be put up for sale in the second half of the year. 23 residential sites in the land sale program are located in the new territories, with the largest ones in Tuen Mun and Tai Po. At nearly 8 hectares, the largest plot in Pak Shek Kok in Tai Po will be divided in 4 parts to be auctioned off separately. For the first quarter of the 2014-2015 fiscal year, the government will first put out most of the smaller plots, which will provide about 1,500 flats altogether. The MTR Corporation and the Urban Renewal Authority, meanwhile, will provide 14,400 units. Secretary for Development Paul Chan says the MTR Corporation has not been able to put some of its properties on the market over the past 3 years, and construction works were completed only because of government help. Plots that belong to the railway company at Tai Wai and at Tin Wing Station in Tin Shui Wai, for example, had to be withdrawn from auction due to a lack of interest. One option is for the government to take back the Tin Wing Station project, but Chan refused to divulge the details on that. 4 plots of land which didn't sell over the past year have been removed from the land list. Those include the former Liwai Lake School campus, which Hong Kong Baptist University is trying to acquire for its use. In order to ensure that the flat supply target is met, the government will continue to impose minimum flat number requirements having regard to site characteristics and market conditions. Surveyor Chan Chui Kwok says the fact that there are more plots up for sale in the new territories than in urban areas reflects the increasing difficulty in finding suitable plots in town. He expects the price tag between rural and urban districts will widen, and in the long run that will reduce prices in the new territories while prices in town remain high. New buildings in the new territories in the next few years, in addition to existing and sold flats, may cut prices by up to 15%, he believes. Joel De Silva, TVB News.
And in the States, the governor of the U.S. state of Arizona has vetoed a bill that would have allowed people and businesses to refuse to serve gays on the basis of religious beliefs. The bill put America's deep polarization over the issue of gay rights on stark display. Alan Buckner reports.
The bill was passed by the mainly Republican Arizona legislature last week. They said it was designed to give protection from lawsuits to people who assert their religious beliefs by refusing to serve gay people. Opponents called it an open attack on gays that invited discrimination. Several major American corporations, including Apple and American Airlines, as well as some prominent Republicans in Washington, urged Republican Governor Jan Brewer to veto the bill, saying it would hurt the state and could alienate businesses looking to expand there. After consulting with lawyers and businesses, she did.
I have not heard of one example in Arizona where a business owner's religious liberty has been violated. The bill is broadly worded and could result in unintended and negative consequences. After weighing all of the arguments, I have vetoed Senate Bill 1062.
The decision was greeted enthusiastically by the crowd that had assembled outside the legislative building.
And this shows this nation that not all Arizonans are like those extremists, and that there are good people here, and that we want to lead. We want to help lead this country forward, not backwards.
This was an embarrassment for our state. I'm happy that she vetoed it. I don't feel like we should have to be here.
Similar bills are making their way through several state legislatures. Some are designed to protect bans on gay marriages after several jurisdictions in the U.S. lifted those bans. Alan Bookniat, TVB News.
Ukrainian fugitive President Viktor Yanukovych has released a statement asking for Russia's protection from extremists. The statement was published by 3 Russian news agencies. Yanukovych, who fled from Ukraine's capital Kiev last week, also says he still considers himself to be the legitimate leader. This statement comes as tensions are running high in southern Ukraine, where pro-Russian supporters are already challenging the authority of the new government. James Aiken reports.
Job number 1 for Ukraine's new leaders is just to keep the country together. Nowhere in Ukraine are divided allegiance more apparent than in the strategic Crimean Peninsula, where ethnic Russians are the majority. Thousands of pro-Russian demonstrators have been clashing with supporters of the new government in the capital, Kiev. Armed men have reportedly seized the regional government headquarters and parliament in the region and raised the Russian flag. The confrontations are stoking rising fears of separatism in a country struggling to recover from 3 months of political upheaval. Crimea is now the last big bastion of opposition to the new post-Yanukovych political order in Kiev. It's also home to part of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. Russia has just put 150,000 of its troops near Ukraine on high alert. Moscow denies that the previously unannounced drill is linked to the events next door. Acting President Alexander Turchinov says it will regard any movements by Russian military in Crimea outside the naval base in Sevastopol as an act of military aggression. NATO, meanwhile, is repeating its support for Ukrainian sovereignty.
We will continue to support Ukraine's territorial integrity and democratic development. And we will continue to uphold the principle of inviolability of frontiers.
The latest turmoil takes place as Ukraine continues to teeter on the brink of financial collapse. Senior European officials are discussing details of a possible aid package worth tens of billions of dollars. Russia, which had a deal to supply aid to Ukraine under its previous government, says it will take part in discussions with the International Monetary Fund. James Aiken, TVB News.
And still ahead in our news tonight, John Tsang defends his budget. The new director of Marine greeted by protesters. And Spanish flamenco guitar legend Paco de Lucia dies.